Okay, so Grandma and I trust we're all doing well. So the other time I was talking about honoring ancestors, and one guy came to say ancestors are useless, they don't need any honor. And for a while I thought about it. I'm like, well, he's right from his own perspective. But eventually to say ancestors are useless means that when you also die, it is okay for your children to come look at your graveyard or look at your pictures and probably think you are equally as useless. Listen, there's this popular adage that monkey fine or he no fine, his mother like him like that. Whether ancestors are useless or they were useless, whatever it is, they are still ancestors. We don't abandon ancestors. You don't abandon your parents because they don't take care of you. Excuse me to say, even if your mom was a drunkard and for that reason when she gave birth to you or when she was pregnant with you, it affected you in negative ways, and eventually you are born, you're growing up, you're having some birth defects here and there, it doesn't necessarily go to mean that your mother was useless. Maybe within her time, whatever problem she was going through, it was the only way she could deal with herself and hold herself. But the fact that you've been born, you have life now, whether she was useless or not, she's still your mother. And I think most of the times when we talk about honoring ancestors, people assume that to honor your ancestors is to replace Jesus. Since we came up from the church, replacing Jesus with your ancestors and making them your Lord and personal Savior. Whatever perception you have, you still can't erase the fact that you are because your ancestors laid the path for you, whether positive or negative. When it is positive, then that is good news to you. Then you are fortunate. That means that honoring them even enhances that positive path and brings more greatness into the family. When it is negative, that is why you still have to honor them, because like I've said from the beginning, sometimes ancestors found ourselves in situations beyond their control in that moment, and whether they had to betray us or not, they still had to try their best to live within that time so you and I can be born. Usually when we talk of ancestors, people are looking at slavery times and how some of our ancestors sold us out into slavery. It could be true. I don't have all the documents or facts to that, but at least I've read a few. I've read documentaries citing that some of our ancestors sold us into slavery. But whatever it is, I feel they were not acting alone. There's a saying also that Ephebia mensa, meaning that in every household you find the betrayer. So in as much as a few ancestors sold us into slavery, there were equally very good ancestors who were fighting to liberate Africans, and that is why you and I are here today. So let's even assume that our ancestors sold us into slavery and they are truly useless. Is that a reason for us also to continue making those same mistakes, assuming our ancestors are useless, so we don't even need to mention their names at all? Do we think of what will also happen to us when we die? Because my grandmother was a prophetess. She had a church, and I didn't grow up with my family, so I was never so close to them and all that. And when I awakened, one of the first things I wanted to do was go back home, go to her graveyard, do the necessary honor to her. The family or parents that are supposed to lead me, at the end of the day, are even at loggerheads on their own. So to get people to lead me, eventually I had to even pull away from going to do that. But yet still deep within me, whenever I'm thinking of my life, I'm showing gratitude within myself to my grandmother, those before her, and even my mom now, because in as much as in this physical life, I'm not so much on good terms with them for the reason of my personal growth, I still don't elude the fact that I am here. And even through all their mistakes, it helped me to learn a lot and be where I am now. Funny enough, people who assume our ancestors are useless, so we don't have to honor them, are by now sitting in church, eating the flesh and blood of some assumed Jesus Christ, wherever he came from. You don't know him, you never met him, generation after generation. They told us not to ask these questions. This is the doctrine of the church. We just have to follow it. Meanwhile, your ancestors, even if you don't know anyone at all, you can think of probably your immediate grandparents, an uncle, a cousin, someone within the family. At least you have seen their raw picture before, or you even met them who died. You say those ones are useless just because you heard that some of them sold us into slavery. Yes, though, most of you haven't bothered to find the truth about Christianity, its history, why we even have to be imagining that we are eating the flesh of a human being and drinking the blood. Are you serious? And it's so pathetic. I remember when I first awakened, and I thought I was on top of the world. I was trying to convince my friends, like, hey, I found truth. Come, let's go. Find more truth and our ancestors and all that. And I'll show them articles on the Council of Nicaea, how the Bible was put together so it to be used as a tool for brainwashing us. And all they told me is that, Stella, it is well. Like I was some crazy girl, and eventually it took me a while to detach myself from all those emotional pain I felt, in experience with them and family. And the beautiful thing about this awakening journey is that it's not a journey of forcing. Like at church, if you don't come and pay tithes, you are sinned and condemned. You not get a place in heaven. If you have sinned, you are condemned to hell. Always threats here and there. But one thing I love about this spiritual journey, it's a very personal thing. No one forces you. In fact, nobody lays down any rules of conduct or ethics here and there for you. But deep within yourself, if you really know what you are destined for in this life, it's enough guide on its own to help you as to what direction you have to take. Eventually, you're able to put yourself in a balance that suits your destiny and you come to a desired goal. So whether ancestors are useless, whatever you think, for me, it's none of my business, And one thing I see is that on this traditional path, people hardly go about forcing people to come and believe. I always say, I don't do messages to convince people. And sometimes I don't even want to do the messages at all because it's my personal part and I'm a very private person. I wanted to leave it as private as I can. That it took the message of somebody to awaken me. When I put this message out there, you listen, someday it will remind you of the mistakes you did. So you know where you have fallen, then you can get on the right path again. So yeah, even as you move in this life, whichever path you have decided to take, Islam, Christian, traditional, spiritual, Buddhist, whatever, it's your life. It has nothing to do with anyone. I just wish you the peace and the blessings you deserve.